Okay, so trig functions can be kind of tricky to plot into your calculator because they could be all over the place and it's really hard to locate it if you don't know what you're looking for in terms of getting it into your window so you can actually see it, and then you can use gsolve to help solve for stuff with it. So remember, you've got your two basic formula with cos or with sin, and a in front is always going to be the amplitude, and that tells you, for example, the amplitude is how far you are from the midline up to the peak. That's your amplitude. Or from the midline down to the trough. So the amplitude is only half the total distance it travels, but it's the total displacement from what we call the equilibrium or the middle line. Okay? And the up-down, that is the d, and this is the shift on the midline, the shift of the equilibrium. So if you have a really tall function and it's got a big shift, it might be up in really high numbers like around 100 and you won't be able to see it. So let's take a look at the graphics and see how to make sense out of this. And our hint is going to be in these guys right here. These are the values you're going to want to use for your window to look at. X you'll have to play with a little bit. You can use some intuition there, but this is going to be your window. So if I go into graph and put in an equation, in this case for cos x plus 7, and press enter and then draw it. This is what I mean. I'm seeing nothing right now. There's nothing in there to help me out at all. It could be there, I just can't tell. So picking out the view window is actually pretty important. You can try zoom sometimes. Oops. Exit. Draw, zoom, auto. That kind of works, and now I can see it. It's getting me in the right ballpark, but it's still not really that helpful for me. So let's look at how this works out. I'm going to use d, which is the number at the back, minus a, and d plus a. So in this case, 7 minus the amplitude, which is 4, gets me to a minimum of 3, and 7 plus 4 takes me to a maximum of 11. So if I go into window, for x, let's leave that alone for now, and let's go down to y. Let's go for a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 11. But if I want to be able to see everything and do a little bit more, I'm actually going to go a bit further. So maybe we'll just say from 1 a little bit further below and up to 5 a little bit further. Oop, need more than that. I need to get to 11, so let's try 13 above. So between 1 and 13. And go ahead and draw it. Now we can see it zooming in a little bit to be of a size that I can actually read stuff on it. And you can arrow over to move yourself around as well if you need to shift around a bit. But now I'm in a position where I can see all my mins and maxes, I can see a few periods, I can use gsolve, and it will work for me. If we look at the next one, my amplitude here is going to be 24, and that's A. My shift is down by 13. So if you imagine, if that was my XY grid, it's going to go down 13 to the midline, and then it's going to have an amplitude of 24, so it's going to be going really crazy. So let's take a look. Menu. Oh, we're already in graph. Exit. Put in a new equation that we can actually read here. So we'll try 24 sin bracket 5x bracket minus 13. And I'm going to get rid of that 70. I don't need that there. Draw. And again here it's like, oh, that's a terrible graph to look at. So let's think about being careful. We need to pick our window appropriately. So here, if I use d and a, I'm going to do d minus a, which is 13, but that's a negative 13, minus 24. And that's going to take me to a negative number, so negative 37. That's going to be the bottom that I need to see. And d plus a, let's go negative 13 plus 24. and that's going to get me to 21. So I need to be going between 21 and 37 at the least, but again I'll probably stretch it out a little bit further above and below that. So my y min I might just make negative 40, nice round number. My y max I might decide to make 25, draw it, and now I can see it quite well. And this is what I meant by intuition on x. This is quite scrunched up, and we see that because that 5 is telling me that it's going to be scrunched up. So if I want to just pace it and spread it out a tiny bit so I can see the details a little bit better, let's just cut that down to, instead of 18, let's just try 8. And now I can see those cycles a little bit more clearly. So that's how you go about getting the trig functions in there and plotting them. Once you've got that information in, you can do things like gsolve, and away you go.